We're going to be talking a lot about leverage, tech stacks, specifically how the website could potentially be the center of everything you do online. I'm Nelson Quest. I'm the founder and CEO of agentfire.com. Started the company in about 2013. Today we've grown to like thousands and thousands of client sites. I'm actually very surprised to see how many of you guys are Agent Fire clients. Chase is a client. Meg's a client. Sherry, Jeff doesn't realize it yet. Jeff McConville, he's going to be a client. And so, yeah, we're pretty big now. We work with a lot of the biggest teams in North America. Starting a branding company too. We just did the branding for Whistle Beer Group. We've got some pretty big clients in the pipeline. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today is actually kind of rooted in branding. I think branding is one of the things that agents and teams really underestimate in terms of how important it is for just like shaping your online perception and also just making it easy to market and just really making it easy to do anything and everything you guys do online. I put YouTube expert. It sounds kind of corny. After COVID, I started a YouTube channel. It was in Colombia, which is where I live. So it was in Spanish. It's a personal development channel. I started it as just kind of a hobby and I grew it to 300,000 subscribers in a little over a year. I say that just to help you guys hopefully give me some credibility in terms of my understanding of just branding and cultivating a really impressive online presence and how you guys can use that in business to just really separate from everyone else that you're bidding against. And then the last thing I mentioned here is that I'm a consultant for top agents and teams across North America. So pretty much every time we bring on like a big agent, a big team, I'm in those meetings. We're discussing like what are their specific goals with the website? What are they looking to do from a recruiting perspective? We've worked out some pretty cool like bespoke solutions for each of these individual top agents and teams. The future belongs to the leverage. Mastery systems and leverage is already defining the next generation of top performers. So you guys are already seeing, and this will continue to happen for as long as real estate is a profession, where guys at the top, they're leveraging tools, they're leveraging tech stacks, they're leveraging AI to essentially separate more and more from everyone else. There used to be a lot more like middle area, and now there's just the agents and teams that are at the top and then kind of everyone else. So when I say the word leverage, and I'm going to say it a lot today, leverage means multiplying your results without multiplying your effort. So it's the difference between working in your business and working on your business. And real estate leverage comes from brand, systems, and tools that scale trust, credibility, and consistency without adding hours to your day. When I say leverage, you can also just think of a tech stack. That word, that phrase, is becoming really popular. Whether or not you realize it, everyone here has a tech stack, right? So, for note taking, maybe you guys are using Evernote or Notion or Google Docs or whatever. For your fitness stuff, I got an Aura ring. A lot of you guys have wearables like a Whoop band. You got some sort of fitness tracker thing. For booking your flight to come here to Vegas, you guys use a service. I use Travelocity. I'm not sure if that's still an option, but you're using a Skyscanner or, one of those things. Essentially, everyone here, you have your own kind of like personal tech stack. And a lot of you guys are able to achieve a lot more now because of that. I do jujitsu. I have twins that are a year and 2 months old now. I salsa dance. I climb mountains. There's no way I could have done even half of these things 10 years ago without having personal tech stack and without being able to just create like massive leverage in my life. REC is kind of like a tech stack, right? You got 5 people who each represent, specialize in an individual aspect of things that are really important for systems that teams use. You got Alina, Chase, Jeff, Shelly, and Lisa. And so they're like a human tech stack. I created this slide specifically for this event for these guys. Also, like if we could just give them a round of applause, I think they've done a great job putting together this event. And, yeah. Now I want to talk about like why your website can be the most important part of your tech stack. So first of all, everyone is using their website wrong. Hopefully we'll make that apparent as we move through this. But nearly every single prospect you guys have or meet, whether they're a lead, referral, or someone you met in person, they're going to look you up online before they ever do business with you. We're in an age where, if you guys are going to buy a toothbrush, you're probably reading 20 different Amazon reviews. You're looking at, okay, there's like bamboo toothbrushes. There's, that's the sort of research you're doing to buy like a $5 toothbrush. Imagine the sort of research that most of your prospects are doing with one of the most important financial decisions of their entire life. So your website is like where it can be where all of that research lands. It's very easy to set up a website and have it rank number 1 for your specific agent name or team name or any of the individual agents that are part of your team. It's where perception is shaped, credibility is built, and trust is won or lost. It really is your opportunity to just like frame how people perceive you. Like virtually everyone is going to meet your website are going to meet your online presence before they meet you. And that should be really important to you. I wasn't sure if I should leave this slide in. Everyone's talking about AI. I wanted to just quickly weigh in with my thought. We've got a bunch of AI developers. I use AI every day. I've got enterprise accounts with all the, ChatGPT and Claude and all that stuff. And I wanted to just say that AI there's a lot of like hyperbole. A lot of people saying that AI is coming and going to replace all the jobs. Like AI is still, and I have a lot of conversations with like really, really smart people that are way smarter than me. And AI is still like very far from replacing the vast majority of skilled professions. Real estate is very much a skilled profession. You guys are doing like so many things. And so, you guys know like every year there's a new company that's trying to replace you guys. They like all fail universally. AI is not replacing any of these skilled professions. AI is really here as a tool. And like it's also one of the most important parts of your tech stack. If you guys, I'm sure everyone here is probably using ChatGPT, anyone using Claude or Perplexity, or if you guys haven't built a custom GPT or don't even know what that means, Claude just released a great skills feature, which if you guys are writing content, like any sort of marketing content, social posts, stuff like that, it just saves so much time. It's so important to not only use these tools, but to really like learn them inside and out and use them to build leverage. And all of the top agents and top teams that I talk to, they're really diving into the stuff and not just like using it. They're not just going through and doing the same thing every single day. They're actively researching and expanding their knowledge base of how to use these tools to get more leverage from them. Because especially with ChatGPT, if you understand how to create custom GPTs, you can like literally use it for everything. I use it to get my blood work done once a month. I have like a whole spreadsheet that first of all, I have ChatGPT create because I'm just taking all my blood work, putting it into ChatGPT, asking it to create a spreadsheet. Then I'm like having it compare my blood work over time. I don't want to get too lost in the weeds with that, but you should be using ChatGPT for pretty much everything and just really learning how to use it, how to leverage. So that was my little AI spiel. So let's get back to just like the website as the center of the system. I'll mention quickly, again, I said at the beginning that, we've been around for a while. We've been here since 2013, thousands of websites. We've built a system called Blueprints. If you guys want to check it out, you can go to agentfire.com/blueprint. It's essentially our 21-point visual checklist for the perfect website. When I say the perfect website, I'm talking about not only the ingredients, which is kind of like all of what you should do and what you shouldn't do when it comes to a website, but then also the best pages that you could possibly have on a website, and how you can literally leverage these into like every single conversation point. So if you guys are just talking to a new lead for the first time, you guys are on a listing presentation, you're trying to do some recruiting stuff, we'll talk about both the ingredients of a perfect website and the pages of a perfect website and how to leverage them in conversation. And yeah, I'll just mention quickly, we've got, again, like some of the biggest teams in the US. We're really excited that Kyle Whistle and Dan Beer just signed up with us. We got Jeremy Wilson, who was speaking here earlier today. He's awesome. Tina Call, Ryan Young is the CEO of Fellow. A lot of you guys know Tristan from Lab Code Agents. As impressive as a lot of these teams are, I think it's like far more impressive to talk about new agent. He's been in business for 3 years. He was previously in that sewing industry. So, I mean, no experience with real estate whatsoever. He came in his third year. He's already closed over $1 million in GCI. This is actually a screenshot that he sent me 2 weeks ago, where he's over $1 million in GCI for the year. Again, as a third-year agent in one of the most competitive markets in the US. So, and all he does, and this is why hopefully you guys like really, really enjoy this presentation. This is like the simplest possible thing that you guys can implement. All he does is he buys leads on Zillow, everyone's favorite company, and Realtor. He sends them to his website. And he's got different ways that he'll interact and leverage the website in the different conversations that he's having. But that's essentially, I know he's in his third year, so now he's also getting some referrals. But like everything he does, every single person that he does this is what he's sending them to his website. He's leveraging the website in different ways to close those deals. So now let's talk about like how to build a website that works in every interaction. And so I'm really happy that this is kind of like the slogan of Agent Fire, because previously, like most of the time when you set up a website, and I'm curious like how many of you guys have websites and how many of those websites just kind of like sit there doing nothing. Like if you can raise your hands, like, yeah, okay. So most people just set up the website. It just kind of just sits there and they just don't do anything with it. The way to get the most benefit out of a website, again, people are going to research you and they're going to find it that way. But the way to get the most benefit out of it is to actually find ways to build content, and the great thing about a website is you build this content and then you don't have to touch it for like a year. Maybe every year you should do a little update, but then you're just iterating at that point. It's in terms of like a time investment, in terms of leverage, it's one of the best investments you can make. We'll start with the ingredients of like a perfect website. And then we'll go through, again, the pages and how to best leverage them. I'm going to be showing a lot of Jeff's stuff on the right side of the screen. We're actually building the third version of Jeff's website right now. His website is oasisgroupfl.com. But the new website that we're building, where you'll see a lot of the screenshots from that, is still in development. I was trying to get it live for today, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I mentioned brand at the beginning, and I know that's not like specifically part of a website, but I have to mention that I have to talk about it because I just think it's so important. Your brand is a lot more than a logo. Your brand is your essence. It's it creates instant authority. Like a really good brand looks really professional. It simplifies everything. So, any good brand is going to have what's called a brand guide. And so this is like, okay, this is the fonts you use. These are the colors you use. This is like how to use the logo, how to not use the logo. This is what your marketing post should look like. I mentioned we did the brand for Whistle Beer Group, and we actually did a lot of extra stuff for them. I've talked to like so many teams. They're the most professional team I've ever met. They have a CMO, a CFO, CPO, CDEFG. I wouldn't be surprised if they're on the Dow Jones one day. And they use the brand guide for everything. You guys can actually check out their Instagram. You'll see like all of the branding and everything that they do now has a guide. one last thing on the branding. You can even just go to Fiverr and like Fiverr Pro now has professionals that you can work with. Like you can spend a lot of money on a brand. First team who Chase worked with, they did a brand update with a company called 1,000 Watt. I think they spent like $100,000. So you could obviously spend a ton of money on a brand, but you can also like literally just go to Fiverr, find someone, for $500, you can get a brand guide for like what your for sale sign should look like. Again, what your social media post should look like. It just makes life a lot easier. It unifies everything you do online. It makes everything look so much more professional. And if you do it the right way, it's not just the visual, it's also like your company or essence in an actual visual form. So the big thing with the website, the first big thing is you want to make it scannable. It's been a while since I've worked with clients, but everyone just wants to say so many things. They want their menu to be filled with like 20 pages that nobody cares about. People read by scanning things. They're not actually going to read like those big blocks of text that you have at your website. So the menu, I wouldn't have more than 4 or 5 items there. How many people have actually gone through the analytics of their website? If you have a website, how many of you have actually like looked at the analytics? Okay.
Quick question. What does scannable mean?
So basically scannable means, and if you guys are going to a website, for the most part, you don't go to the website and then like read every single, like you're trying to go through that thing as quickly as possible to get to the thing that you're looking for. So you're probably scanning the menu first, maybe to go to a specific page. Or if you're just kind of in the research phase and you're landing on the homepage, you're just like quickly moving down there. I can solve the pairs. Yeah. So that's the first thing, right? Anyone that's written like marketing copy, like most rookie mistake you can make is just having long marketing copy. Like, anything you do from when you're writing emails, you're writing social posts, like you always want to try to say something that has a maximal amount of effect and a minimal amount of words possible. And so that's the same sort of philosophy that you should have when it comes to all of the content on your website. Social proof. So this is super important. So, prospects, again, most of them are going to meet you on your website before they meet you in person. They literally don't know who you are, what you do. If you have a ton of transactions, they don't know anything. They're trying to learn. So you want to feature this stuff prominently on the homepage. And again, you don't want to load up the homepage with this stuff, but if you have some great awards, feature some of that stuff. If you have, 1, 2, or 3 like bullets that you can feature nicely. So maybe it's how many homes you guys sold, your transactional volume, whatever it is. Jeff as a good example. I love using Jeff as an example because again, he started with nothing. So a couple of months into him being a new agent, he was doing the Zillow lead thing and he won an award for top 1% customer service and satisfaction. And that's just the main social proof that we had on his website. And it worked really well because if you think about it, again, all of the leads that he's getting from Zillow, he's sending to his website. And then on the website, they're seeing number 1 in customer service and satisfaction. When it comes to testimonials, everyone screws this up. Everyone has like testimonial pages on their website or like client reviews, or they'll call it something corny like a client applause. You want to avoid stuff like that too. You always want to be very explicit. You never want to have title of something that explicitly say what it is. So you don't want to just have, I guess, especially a lot of you guys have lots of really good positive reviews. You're getting reviews on Google, on Zillow. On your website especially, you want to have a section that just has like big smiling faces at closings is kind of the gold standard. That's what you should aim for. If you have testimonials featured, you don't want to just feature like big blocks and lists of testimonials. You want to feature like the juiciest parts of your best testimonials. I think videos are fantastic. I think videos are fantastic first because, again, they're pretty evergreen. So for a lot of you guys, when you're explaining your value prop isn't going to change a lot over the years. And so you can record one video and be able to use that for hopefully many years. The second thing is you would also just use it in a lot of different areas. So obviously that's a nice thing to feature on your homepage. But then, you can also, share it in social. You can share it in email conversations you're having with people if it does a really good job of like kind of breaking down what it is that makes you different than everyone else. So I'm a huge fan of video, and I think it's a great idea to have that on the homepage. Well, yeah, first I'll say it's just we don't do contracts. I won't talk negatively about any of our competitors, but I'll say a lot of them do contracts. We tend to just keep clients because they like our stuff versus a gun to their head. We don't do contracts. And in terms of onboarding, especially with AI now, we have a great onboarding process. So we just have some forms that you would fill out. I don't want to make this like a sales pitch for Agent Fire, but we have some forms you would fill out. And then we have that 21-point blueprint that I mentioned. So all of our team is trained on that. And with the forms that we have you fill out, we're trying to actually create leverage for you guys, meaning that we're kind of collect the least amount of information that will allow us to create a lot of the copy, set up a lot of the interior pages, if that makes sense. So we kind of ask you to just almost like vomit into the forms. Like, what is it that makes you special about sellers? And like, don't worry about formatting everything properly. You know what I mean? Just like throw it out there. And then we're able to use AI to turn that into a really nice copy that we can use on the pages. So
But you have curated questions, and those curated questions, you then utilize AI to be able to build out and then cut down the time for them to be able to have the site upload.
yeah, because client onboarding, nobody wants to fill out forms. And so we're constantly just trying to make it as easy as possible. Little like insider secret that I'll share with you guys is that like literally half the people that sign up, it takes them like months to fill out the forms. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so we covered this again. Like smiling faces is the gold standard, especially if you've got like team photos or if you're an agent. You don't want to be. This isn't you're not auditioning for a job as a model. Like you want to have just a big smiling face, show those teeth. It's really important to have that on the website. Some studies and stuff that show that smiling creates a bond. It makes things more personal, and people don't want to do business with businesses. They want to do business with people, especially when it comes to real estate. Give your website a hyperlocal focus. So this word gets used a lot, but it feels like a lot of people don't really understand what this means. It just means your website should focus on the specific areas in your target market. And you can do that lots of different ways. You can have area pages. My company has a really good system for area pages. I've seen a lot of websites setting up clickable maps. We have them too. They're called click maps. I think your website should really speak to the people that are living in the area that you guys do business in. I was scared to add this one to the pitch deck because this maybe requires a little bit more work, but ideally you want to have your call to actions should always be conversational. So you shouldn't just have, what's my home worth or perfect home finder. You should find ways to be conversational, not only in your website, but in the ways that you're asking people to take that next step. At the very least, you should have every page on your website always needs to have a next step that you want that person to take. And that should be the call to action. Ideally, in a perfect world, if you guys are willing to do a little extra work, you want to have different call to actions for your buyer page than you have for your seller page, than you have for your relocation page, than you have for your area pages, etc. I think you guys all know traditional IDX is pretty much dead in terms of nobody's coming to your website to search for homes anymore. Everyone has an account on Zillow, but there are still ways to use IDX to, again, present yourself as hyperlocal and to give lots of value. One of the best is just to set up lifestyle searches on your website. Essentially what you want to do with the IDX, just to summarize, is you want to create a curated search experience. People still value that. They get a lot of benefit from that. Even from a street text, he'll tell you one of the highest performing Facebook campaigns forever has been just single story homes. So ads pointing to a link on your website with single story homes. You want to curate. And again, on your website, it shows that this is stuff that you guys specialize in. But then beyond that, people still appreciate a curated experience. Okay, so we talked about the core ingredients. Now let's talk about actual pages. And I'll talk specifically about Jeff and how he's using these pages in all of his conversations to win and attract new business. When we actually look at the analytics of all of our client websites, thousands and thousands of websites, the why choose me, us, your about page essentially, which you never want to just call it about. You want to title it, why you should work with us. That page gets the by far the most organic traffic. So meaning people that are finding your website and then they're navigating to that page, which makes a lot of sense because the people that are finding your website online, for the most part, are people that are researching you guys. And so this is the page where you want to really pull out all the stops. You want to have all of your social proof, right? So you want to have, again, big smiling faces at closings. You want to have your stats of things you guys have accomplished. You want to make it personal, right? Again, people don't want to do business with business. People want to do businesses with people. All of the copy on your website, your marketing, everything you do, really should have more of a personal feel to it always. And again, you want to also be able to use it in conversations. So this is one of the pages that Jeff most frequently shares to people that are considering doing business with him. Also, you want to have buyer and seller pages. So this is the best opportunity you have to just explain all of the things that make you guys unique, that makes you guys better than your competitors. So again, you should still have all those social proof stuff that I mentioned, but here especially, you want to list out, if I'm a buyer, what do I get if I'm working with you? If I'm a seller, what are you going to do for me that I can't get with every other agent? This is your opportunity. And again, these are some of the best pages to be able to leverage in conversations that you're having with people. Highlight area pages to establish local expertise. So these are great when you have a really nice area page. And so Agent Fire, not to talk too much about Agent Fire, but our area pages, we have really good demographic and we have sales stats and stuff like that. We have local school information with ratings. We have Yelp top local businesses, which you can actually go and curate. So we've had clients that will curate them to show their favorite restaurants or coffee shops in a specific area. You can tag your related blog post to a specific area. So if you're doing a home tour in Orange County, you can tag it to that page. So basically, you should strive to create a really high value area page that not only gives a lot of value, but also simultaneously demonstrates you as the expert within that specific area. You're achieving those two things, you're coming off as an expert. And if you can come off as an expert, it's probably because you achieve the value thing, if that makes sense. These are symbiotic things. Listings. So you definitely don't want to just have your listings in the MLS and be featuring them that way, or you can feature them on your website. So, and it's super important, not only for the seller, but then when you're running listing presentations, just to be able to show sellers, this is, how I'm going to present your listing to the public. After you've sold a listing, 100%, I never see anyone doing this. And it's such a small effort thing to do that you'll get just a lot of ROI out of, is turning these listings into case studies. So With HFR, we actually have a feature where you can just add like a little hashtag. Like when you've sold a listing, you can basically go in and click turn into case study, and then it'll ask you for additional information. It'll ask you for like what are the challenges that you faced when selling this listing. It'll ask you for, some of the stats, like how many marketing photos you took. You'll have an opportunity to show all of the things that you did to market this listing in that case study. And then these case studies are great, not only to just have and feature on your website, but also to share in conversations, especially when you've got, a listing that you're going after, and then you've got a case study of a very similar listing. These are just really, really helpful tools. That case study page, we actually pulled straight from Tom Ferry, has like a whole video where he talks about like the perfect case study page. And so we built like a lead case study page that's specifically modeled after everything that Tom said. We're big fans of Tom. Everything that Tom said would be like, just give you the perfect case study page. And then last thing I'll mention too, so Jeff is actually now starting to build a team. Most of you guys here are teams. Recruiting, frankly, for teams, recruiting is going to be like 50% of what you want to use the website for, like benefit from. So you want to set up a killer recruiting page. Super important. So on the recruiting page, you should showcase your culture and mission, right? Your values, your team dynamic. You want to make applying effortless. You want to have a forum where people can take that next step. You want to use social proof internally. So on your other pages where you got big smiling faces of people at closings, on your recruiting pages, you want to have big smiling faces of your team and everything you guys do. And then you also want to think bigger than hiring. Like so much of the stuff, like when you have these pages set up in the right way, it just looks professional. It just creates the image that you guys are at the top of your game, that you just really know what you're doing. And this is another section that you should have on your homepage, on your buyer page, on your seller page. This is something I learned. I think you guys are familiar with Donald Miller from StoryBrand. Okay, yeah, he's the man. So he talks about when people are considering doing business with you, they're essentially like on the other side of a river, right? And so on your website, especially on these pages, you want to throw what are they called? Like the stepping stones. You want to lay down like 3 stepping stones to where it's like, okay, if I'm going to do business with these guys, this is what it's going to look like. Step 1 is we'll set up an initial consultation, right? And you have your step 2 and your step 3. On all of your pages that you're leveraging in conversations, again, if these are people that are not yet committed to doing business with you, you always want to have like a simple 3-step, like, okay, if we do business, this is what it's going to look like. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So last thing, I'll just finish off by saying, kind of bringing this home a little bit, the agents and teams who thrive in the years ahead won't be the ones with the biggest budgets or the flashiest ads. They'll be the ones who build systems that amplify what already makes them great, right? So leverage, again, the keyword is leverage. It isn't about automation for its own sake. It's about multiplying your time, your authority, and your ability to connect with clients at scale. Do everything you do right now, but at scale. And at the center of that system can be your website, right? It's a single platform that brings your brand, your marketing, your expertise, and your results to like a single location that you can leverage everywhere. The future belongs to agents who build systems and use them every day. Like AgentFire, we have like beautiful websites. Everyone kind of already knows that, but I wanted to talk about something we're working on that I think is just like super cool. Is that we have this mobile app coming out, and up until now, it's pretty hard to, encouraging you guys to leverage the website to every interaction, but it's also not entirely practical. Like if you're wanting to share an area page, to like go to your website and then click on the area page and then copy it from the URL bar. And so we have this mobile app that we're working on that essentially takes everything that I'm talking about here and makes it easy to do the stuff like directly from your phone. So anytime you're writing an email or you're at a listing presentation, there's going to be all sorts of features you can use, all sorts of ways that you can share this content in like any sort of conversation that you're having. We're going to have a digital business card feature that just pulls a lot of the content that you're adding to your agent profile. If you got a big team, like your agents can use the app and just have like a business card that pulls information from their profiles to create a digital business card that they can share. You can add and view your leads on the go. You can set up and manage listing alerts, which is a super requested feature. And you can also access, we have a feature called AgentFire Plus, which includes a lot of our AI stuff. But the big draw there is really the 3 hours of assistance that we give. And so you can actually go into your app and be able to set up tasks, like to create this article for me, create this area guide for me. I'm just really excited about it. It's coming hopefully Q1 of next year. There's website companies that have done apps that are more like consumer focused. Again, I'm a big fan of just giving you guys a tool that you guys can use, something that just like supports you in every area of your business. And hopefully the app will help us do that better than we've ever been able to do it before. So anyway, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.